Hey, I'm Birdman,
Hey, I'm Michael.
and it's time to get on target at.
The Hub. All right, so it's been a little bit.
We covered all three bases now, huh? We're like
Yeah.
doing the rotation.
Yeah, we've done Phoenix, we've done Tucson, now we're back in Lakeside, showing you all the hubs. So today, what are we talking about? Or what are we talking about in the next couple episodes? So we've been talking a lot about pistols, high-end guns, 1911s, 2011s, stuff like that. Today, I figured we'd talk about kind of what the rifle market looks like these days. This is, of course, not everything, but this gives you kind of a good mix of what's going on with the market. We've got a 16-inch 223 carbine, a 300 Blackout SBR that also has a suppressor on it. We've got a 9mm pistol carbine that has a suppressor on it. And then we've got a SIG MPX 9mm carbine. And basically, the thinking behind showing you these two, while they're the same caliber and theoretically the same style, one has a brace, one doesn't. So it completely changes the way the gun works. The thinking behind a 16-inch and a SBR is this is what majority of the rifles we are selling today are. Yes, we do sell some 18 and 20-inch rifles in the 223, but not nearly as much as it used to be. So we'll kind of go into that and dive into each rifle and what makes it cool. Today, I thought we'd start with our Gibbs rifle. The reason is we recently picked them up as a dealer. We've always sold some of their parts here and there and rifles that use their parts, but now we are a Gibbs direct dealer. So we're going to start there.
And that's this one?
That's this
Okay,
one.
I'm going to move around and show it off while you talk.
Cool. So this rifle we actually, or I actually purchased and assembled. Since we aren't a manufacturer, we can't manufacture rifles, so we can't put them together in store. However, once we purchase a rifle or purchase a lower and upper barrel, etc., I then can assemble them. And so that's what we did. I purchased this rifle, I made it myself, and then I actually sold it back to the store for a rental gun. So that way it's completely legit books-wise. This is using a bootleg tactical rail, Gibbs side charging upper and lower. The cool part about Gibbs that I love the most is they're here out of Arizona, right out of Phoenix. Then we're using a primary weapon systems buffer system, a Mission First tactical stock, a Ergo wide grip. I really like the wide grips on these ARs because they have definitely a recoil, and you can feel it a lot in your hand, and spreading that recoil out on your palm actually helps with your palm feeling fatigue. It'll actually decrease the ability for it to just go to one spot, and instead it kind of distribute its I can't really talk right now. Distribute it out across your hand. So, if you think about one point hitting your hand versus a fist, while a fist, if you punch really hard, it's going to hurt. It's definitely going to feel, you're going to get less of a bruise, giving you more against your palm versus less. So that's the thinking there. It's got an Ambi F1 selector. We partnered with Vortex on this rifle, so it's got a Vortex Strike Eagle and their American Defense quick detach cantilever mount. This has got an F1 barrel in it, and then a Crow suppressor adapter. The cool thing about this adapter is it actually allows you to use a stock flash hider, but you can put a can on it. So super cool. This one of our rifles that actually gets shot the most. I believe this has a Elf trigger in it. We really like Elfman also. They're out of Phoenix. Great company, great triggers, ball bearing, awesome, top notch. So I built this rifle basically to showcase some of the best parts that we have in the shop at the time. This rifle is probably 3 or 4 years old now. We still sell all these parts. They're still top-notch parts. This rifle gets, like I said, rented all the time. People love it, especially with the suppressor because it's side charge. The benefit of side charge, you're not getting that ammonia back to your face that the normal charging handle lets out. So as you can see on this, there is no charging handle. So nothing to be blown back into your face. It all comes out the side of the rifle. So super, super cool. This has got a JP, as I'm hitting stuff, this has got a JP Enterprise. I think it's the VMOS. Let me see here. It's been a little while since, yeah, VMOS. So the cool thing about that buffer system is it actually doesn't require a buffer retainer spring or detent. The buffer actually just sits in the buffer housing, and the bolt goes into the rifle, and then there is no spring actually. So the spring is built into that buffer, and it's very, very, very quiet. You don't get that normal noise that you would with a normal buffer and buffer spring. So super cool. Like I said, one variant of what we're selling today in the modern market. But like I said, I just wanted to talk about this one first because we just picked up Gibbs arms. And this is probably, I would say, majority of your rifle sales is going to be a 16-inch rifle in .223 caliber in the United States. I think that is going to be your basically your most popular rifle, because you can get one starting in like the $300 to $400 area, and then you can go to the sky's the limit. So definitely a contender, and for home defense, for going out with friends, for all around, it just really works. The .223, it's what our military's used for a long time. Yes, they've adapted to other calibers and stuff like that, but .223 is still, 5.56 is still in play. Yep. Still the most popular caliber in terms of ammo, 9mm, .223, 5.56. Most supply, I would say, is .223, 5.56 besides .308. So, out of all the calibers, it's been very easy to pretty much get throughout COVID and these crazy times, whereas 300 Blackout has been very hard to get. So 9mm and .223 have really, they just keep getting more sales, more backing behind them. And especially on the 9mm, we'll go into that into later episodes, but the carbines and the pistols, you used to, when I tell someone that's not very into firearms, yeah, we could get you into a 9mm carbine. They're like, what do you mean? Yeah. And it's still a pistol. It still qualifies as a pistol. However, it's a rifle. So it's not by definition, but yeah, the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it handles, it is a rifle. However, they meet a qualification with the ATF to where this is a brace, this is braceless, and these are pistols. They're designated as pistols. You run a background on a pistol, and it's because of the size of them. The way the ATF looks at it is it easier to hide, essentially? And if it's bigger, they don't worry about it as much, which is, sometimes you're like, wait, what? Like the bigger stuff is actually going to be more powerful. Well, yes, but when I can hide it, it makes it a lot easier to do things that aren't necessarily smart or good. Right. So they look at it like that, and they look at pistols definitely a little bit more harshly than they do rifles, and we see that by the age. You can purchase a rifle at 18, and you can only purchase a pistol at 21. So they definitely look at pistols as a little bit more, in their mind, dangerous. Any firearm is dangerous. However, I understand what their thinking is, and and I think we all do. It's if you can conceal something and hide it, it definitely makes it harder to find than something that, oh well, he's wearing a big black coat and there's something sticking out. It's like, well, okay, he probably has a rifle. Versus like some of these pistols and stuff. Some of these guys, Rob concealed carries every day, and you would never know he has a pistol on. So it's a very good thing. It levels the playing field. So, but we got to look at it. So, as I said, this episode, We're looking at the Gibbs. This is kind of going to roll into more than one episode, like I said. So the next episode, we'll talk about the Daniel Defense 300 Blackout, and then after that, we'll talk about the Ruger and the SIG.
Yeah. And then trying to make sense out of the government sometimes. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, especially right now with everything going on, and then now with the ATF switching to e-forms for everything, it has created a whirlwind of issues for any NFA dealer. It's going to be a good thing, I think, in the end, in the fact that if they can get it to what they say, you're going to be able to get a suppressor in a month and a half.
Yeah.
So suppressor sales are going to go through the roof, absolutely.
Just remember, every progress forward, you always take a step or two back.
Yep.
Because of the process isn't understood to get everybody on the same page. So don't look at it as, oh, they screwed it all up. Just wait for the bugs to work out. And like he said,
It's definitely made it harder for the dealer. I and a couple other dealers do feel that they looked at the way suppressors and short barrel rifles were being processed and done, and they looked at the silencer. We're part of the Silencer Shop network, and the fact that you can create a kiosk profile and then we can just assign to it is. So sorry, we have some customers.
we're
the
actually in a
range.
store.
Yeah, we're in a store. So, but yeah, so before we could actually just assign to your email. So you'd make a profile with Silencer Shop. It would have your fingerprints, photos, all that jazz in it, and then we would assign to it. So you say, hey, Caleb, I want this Omega 9K. Okay, your email is joeschmo@yahoo.com. Joe Schmo, this serial number, he paid us for the stamp. It does all the paperwork, sends you a DocuSign, you sign it, then it sends it back to me, I sign it, it's off to the ATF. So no more come in, sign 50 million times, wait here, dot this, do that. It's all on the kiosk, takes about 10 minutes to do your profile, done. Well, now we have the same process basically, only we have to certify you. So you as the customer now have to have an eForms account. It has to match your name perfectly and your email that you have with Silencer Shop perfectly. We enter in all your stuff. We say certify. If you are an individual, you actually have to be standing in the store to certify.
Oh, wow.
If you're on a trust, you can do it over the phone. Now, my question immediately was, how do they know if the person's in store? You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference between me calling you and you standing in store? If the ATF called you and said, did they call you or talk to you and get did they certify you? Yes, I did. He did. How did they do it? Well, you know what I mean? And that's where I think the question comes. And I even asked my rep that, and he was just like, yeah, that's the big, kind of, well, what if, because if you don't, if there's no way for them to tell, you know what I mean, then what's the point of you having to come in? If I can call you and say, hey, are you on a computer? Certify,
Yep.
And you give me your PIN right then and there and I enter it in, what's the difference? So, and again, we're going to do it the legal way. You're going to have to come in and certify in person. It's stupid. I'm just saying, I don't understand it, really. It's an added thing and it's an added step. Yes, it makes it faster for you to get a suppressor, and that's the only thing I'm looking at. It makes it harder for us, and it makes it more work for, I think, for you a little bit. But in the end, if you can shave a year off of this deal,
Thumbs up.
Exactly, and that's what we're all looking at is okay, what is stopping everyone from getting a suppressor?
Right.
Time, money, and time.
Yeah. But
well,
mostly time.
Yeah, but mostly time. Okay, you got to wait a year. Okay, I'm going to give you $1,000 for a year and not see it? No. Well, now, hey, it's 2 months and you'll have your suppressor.
It's like the federal government technically makes you violate SEC, the federal government, regulations on when you're supposed to get a product after you pay it. So,
Yeah, it's actually really hilarious. Exactly, yeah. They say you have to get the product right away, but then if it's an NFA item, you can't take that product. And it really gets funky when it becomes an individual selling an NFA item, because I have to give you as the individual the money so that you're happy and you're paid for, and then we have to submit the paperwork while you hold that item for me.
yeah, there's no problem there.
Yeah. Okay, I paid you for it and you still have it. Enjoy it. No. So then you got to get dealers involved, but then having to transfer, then theoretically it has to go onto their books. It can only go onto their books under a repair, clean condition. I mean, so it's like, it's just a nightmare. And so I think as they do this stuff, it's going to only make that stuff better, legitimately. So I like what they're doing. I like the fact that they're moving forward and they're trying to make you be able to get suppressors faster. It's just what needs to happen. So, but, relating back, why even talk about suppressors? Well, suppressors, rifles, I think the more as we shoot as a society, we see the benefits of the suppressor and actually, if you look at the Maxim family, I'm going way off on a tangent here.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, you know what I mean? But if you look at the Maxim family, they designed the first machine gun, okay? So by the time he made the first machine gun, his dad was deaf, like 100% deaf. Couldn't hear at all. Yeah. So his son actually went, I'm going to start inventing something that helps my dad be able to hear. You know what I mean? And helps people be able to hear. So invented the Maxim silencer. So you want to talk about families that are the family of guns. Yeah. I would say 100% the Maxim family. Modern rifles, machine guns, suppressors, and the design for the suppressor has not really changed. His design and what they're making today, identical. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there's some innovation, OSS and SIG and, all these different brands, that have really pushed the boundaries. But you look at majority of the cans out there, they are a baffle design, and it's the way Maxim designed it. So, so suppressors relate back. I think as our society advances and as, we basically need more firearms to defend ourselves and to protect our property and to do all the stuff that we're doing, suppressors to me come more into play because home defense, no one thinks about their hearing. No one. And when I say that, well, what have you thought about for your hearing protection? What? You know what I mean? Oh, no, I put my AR-15 right next to my bed. If he comes in my house, I'm sending 30 rounds downrange.
And everybody's deaf.
Exactly. And so it's like, well, why don't we put a suppressor on there? It'll bring it down to a safe level to where, your ears are going to be ringing, but you're going to actually still be able to hear afterwards. Right. And no one thinks about that. The fact that, I'm alive, that's great. It's worth it to have no hearing. But if you could be alive and have hearing, when? There's that. So, all of these, we really start looking at suppressors. When we do these shows, if it's suppressable, I know that's probably not a word. If it's suppressible, there we go. I like that. It's a little better. Can't talk. We're going to put a can on it. And we're going to show you, we'll actually, if we're filming it, we'll show you can and no can. So we'll shoot some of these rifles, actually, if I can find some 300 blackout, all of them. And and we'll show you canned and non-canned. The SBR, it's going to be insane. It's going to be like so loud you can't even function, and then you put the can on and you're like, okay, yeah, we could go shoot. So we'll keep looking at these, but basically I wanted to show you guys what rifles are looking like, and then of course with that relates to suppressor and optic and all that with it. So that was the Gibbs. We will dump into the Daniel next week, and then we'll do some shooting and all that stuff. So I am Michael.
I'm Birdman.
We'll see you next time.